Well, boys and girls, it's been a while, you see, because I think I need to make a piece of poetry. Because you may be wondering, Sterling, of course, I've been following you along for about a year over your life force, and you weren't always able to do this, and at one point you did it better, you see. But where did this rhyming come from, and how was it a present gifted to someone like me? Well, that's the thing, and let me tell you a story true. You guys kind of saw it happening, but I didn't open it up to you. I was a little embarrassed and a little shy, you see, but I think it's important for me to be transparent because I genuinely believe. Because one day I was sitting on a bench and I stared up at the sky. My shoulder moved up and I saw a creeper face in the clouds and it put a spark in my eye. Then I realized so quick after a month or two that my shoulder moving was a higher presence speaking to me through just a simple movement like this, if that makes any sense to you. But then here's where things got crazy, you see, and it just kind of happened oh so gleefully. One night I dropped my sister off at a party and I thought I was supposed to go and watch her and join her and play with this thing of alcohol and sin and just in this difficult place. But I got out of my car and I packed it on the road. And then I started walking down an unknown path that I didn't know where I would go. My shoulder kept moving. It kept telling me the path to take. The steps that I kept moving, I just felt the Lord's holy grace. And then at one point, you see that I went to the end of the road and I was told to keep going, and I just kept fighting through the bushes and the thorns, and I ended up at a river with some beavers in tow. I was told that they would be my friend and they would help me out true. So I stepped upon their dam and I fell waist deep into the river below. As I climbed over, I said, Lord, I trust you, you see, and I just hopped along this branch and I just passed over it without a thought inside of me. And then I came up to the next river, and this was an emotional battle, a test. The one behind me made me too scared to go back, but the one in front of me was the real thing that I had to pass. Because it was just a wide stretch. It was twice my height and length. There was oh so much below it, but it was so murky I had no idea, and that was the thing that scared me so much in that day. I was battling myself, a conversation, you see, with the words coming out of my mouth and the shoulder moving me. As I would turn back and forth, the plants would stop me in my place, and they would help me understand and learn more in such a short amount of time, about an hour, give or take. And then after a fine moment, I worked up the courage, you see. I realized I was wet right now, so it would be easy for me. So I stepped into the river, and I realized quite quick. I moved a little bit to the left, but I wasn't sinking into it. It was only up to here on me. And that's the thing that I needed, because at that moment I trusted in the Lord Jesus. So as I stumbled through this river and I got through the path, I went up to a winery and I found a drink with a can at that. It was something quite delicious and I sipped it and enjoyed. And then I was sitting on a bench because I didn't know what was next in store. I believed I was waiting for someone to come pick me up from that place, like a car or a truck or maybe some guy just that was on his feet, and that was okay. But then what happened next, that was impeccable to me, because it felt like someone took over my body and was starting to speak through me. It was amazing. It was improbable. It was something I could never comprehend. I was able to walk and stretch and move my legs in ways that I could never experience again. But then I realized something in that moment, you see, when I started dancing and singing, oh, the bare necessities. That moment that I spent in the river, you see, I actually learned something that I wasn't supposed to understand until a moment in front of me. So as I stood in the place and I asked this person that took over me, what does it all mean? I laid my head back, I started to cry, I put my hand in the air and said it was all for you and me. Every single person, they're walking, they're placing their steps, and everything in our universe was designed for our heartbeats in our chest. And then as I continued on and went, I forgot about this exact moment. I was under the substance of marijuana and it clouded my memory for enjoyment. But then as I got back to the house and some things happened, you see, I returned and I went for a walk because I just wanted to experience what set me so free. And I started to ponder and ponder on what this all could mean. And then at one moment I decided to walk backwards for a long period of time, about 5 hours, give or take, you see. I didn't run into anything that wasn't necessary. I ran into about 5 or 6 things, and each one of them helped me understand things because I was speaking to myself sort of like I am now. And it just allowed me to understand that it's going to be okay and it'll all work out somehow. So that's where I always tell myself, just trust, just trust. Because even if it's not me or God, it's just the universe will work it out at us. I believe there is a higher being that's controlling our fate, but letting us make our own decisions so we can enjoy the moments that we choose to stay. But as I walked around and I stepped back into my house, I sat down, looked at a mirror, and I realized what I had figured out. I started to cry and I lost my soul in such a moment, you see. I had ego death inside of me and I just lost my identity. It was something so painful, so absurdly distraught. I realized nothing was important and life was meaningless and just a second thought. Freedom of choice was not a thing. It was a mistake made so long ago. But throughout this journey, I learned and gained and I grew, and I know because freedom of choice is something that we have in our lives to help us understand the humanity that sits deep inside. It's something that lets us make the bad decisions, you see, so that we can regret them in the future so we can become a better version of me. But then as I just continued down this path and this fate, one day I was lying in my bed and I didn't have a choice, as it would make sake. I just kept rhyming and flowing, and the words, they just kept coming. But it started a little while ago when I wrote one rap song one day, and I think that this was the time that I finally earned my ability to express my emotions in such a simple way. Because all of this, you see, this entire little split that I just did, I didn't think about any of it, it just kind of flowed out of me as it is. I think I was designed for this, and it was a gift given to me, so I can properly explain to the world why I think God is the ultimate deity. There's nothing bigger, there's nothing better. He's always there for you and he loves you true. So don't forget that, because one day you might have to walk through a river too. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.